Hey folks, it's Bear Gardener, and I am dropping my first bit of cards content in a while. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I have been away for a bit, and my content's been quite sporadic. Reasons why are to do with my health and mental health, and if you want to know more about it, you can join my Discord. There are posts in there where I talk about what's gone on, at least as much as I feel comfortable doing. It's a nice little space with good mods and a safe place. If you want to know more about that, you can go there. There might be a video coming about that, but that's not what I want to concentrate on here, because this is me kind of getting back on the horse and doing some actual content work. So I wanted to talk about cards, obviously. Still a cards content creator, still a member of the contributor program, still happy to get more content out there. I will be back streaming at some point in the near future too, hopefully. But I was going to record this first video on the rotation and the bits of announcements we've had, but my very good friend Jay King has already got there. I will probably get to my opinions on it in a bit, but when I was catching up I noticed the latest article on cards and thought it might be a much more interesting place to go, because we're learning some more about what's going to be coming in March. So, as we jump towards March, let's dive into the article and I'll talk you through some of my thoughts on what's going on. As always, I hope you enjoy it, and we'll see how we get on. Right, so this is United Front, which we've seen this, and we've seen kind of pictures of the 4 different allied nations, so maybe we're going to see some more allied stuff and things, but this is going to talk a bit more about what is going to happen. The headline itself is a good place to start. So early access available on March 14th, so I'm already intrigued to see how this is going to work, and I might have some opinions. But let's dig in to the article. So we've got introduction, hard at work bringing the spring release, which will be United Front. Today excited to share more details, which is cool, including the release schedule, which is nice, and talk a bit about player portraits and battle pass bundles. Interesting. So let's go and have a look at what they're talking about. So, meta shakeup, mini set, and more. So, fresh strategic depth. So we've got a new mini set, 24 brand new cards. That's cool, always. 20 cards being rotated. We've seen those already. And there are some balance changes coming, surprising absolutely nobody. Obviously, this will be a meta shakeup. There are various things I know that people will be expecting to see in there. Certainly, I know people would like to see first responders addressed, so would I. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. And some other bits and pieces. I know I'd like to see some tapering of ramp, because ramp has become incredibly strong and seen a lot in competition, especially the new format, so we'll see where we go with that. So it'd be interesting to see what those are, and obviously I'll try and get a video recorded when we know what those balance changes are too. However, we are going to take a look at what we've got. Obviously, come here, join them. So, they have new official channels on, like, Discord, Facebook. They finally arrived on Instagram and Threads, which is interesting. Haybox, Billy, and Haybox making sense, obviously, for the Asian market, which is really cool. I'm excited to see what Instagram looks like. I will need to go and give a follow. You can also find me on Instagram, as you can see right down there. So I'll see where we go with that. Alright, player portraits. Arriving with United Front this March, you can personalise your identity with player portraits. Visible in key areas, home screen and during battles, crafted from iconic cards artwork with different rarities according to detail and fact. This is interesting. This is kind of a cool... There we go. We can see the possibility. This is kind of cool. I like this sort of cosmetic as a collectible for the upper end of the game, as something that you can collect without it actually having any impact on your gameplay. Said many times before, that's my idea of the kind of collectible I want to see, is anything that has impact on gameplay being much less like this. I think it'd be interesting to see if this comes obviously into the shop for diamond purchases as well, and I'm personally quite excited to see what we get. I think it's quite cool that we could use some nice pieces of art. Obviously we see the White Death and a Commando for the moment, but I'm sure we'll see plenty more. And I'm quite interested to see where we go with that. I've only just noticed, and I will say that there are a couple of things that slightly bug me about this. I'm not sure I like the fact that we have Japan and the White Death and thing, but I mean, that's just going to be a personal thing. Anyway, it's a German commando and some form of Japanese snow fighter in Finland. But anyway, my point being, I think this is going to be pretty cool. I like this. I like this sort of thing. I think adding more things that you can collect and customize is always fun. Just quality of life adds when you can afford the time to do them, I think is really good. So yeah, I'd be fairly positive about this. Battle Pass bundles. Oh, by the way, in-depth dev blog highlighting player portraits. That should be interesting. Battle Pass bundles. Okay, so our dedicated devs enjoy Battle Passes, which I've talked about before. If you are going to put money into the game, I think it's one of the best ways to do it. You can now do 3 or 6 month bundles, which gets a discounted rate. I'm honestly surprised it's taken this long for this to be a thing in the game. It kind of makes sense. It's not an unusual model. It's not something I'm going to rant and rave about. I've said many times before and will continue to do so that the reality is that game developers, especially small developers like 1939, need to find a way to balance the books and make money, and the Battle Pass, I think, is a good way to do it because it gets you some help with your collection, some cosmetics, and is reasonably good value for money. So being able to get discount rates, absolutely fine. I imagine eventually we'll see an annual one too if these are successful, but I actually think it's quite smart to start 3 and 6 month. I'll be interested to see how big the discount is for each of them and the discrepancy between them. But that's just me from a business perspective being interested in seeing in what the actual financials on it are. I'm quite positive about that. I don't have a problem with that. I think the Battle Pass is by far the best monetization that they can focus on in the game. I've said that before. Release schedule. So we're actually getting a release schedule for March, which is nice. So March the 13th, we have patch deployment. So we get the new player portraits, the card balances go live, and we get bug fixes and general improvements. So this is fairly standard for a beta. It's like getting a balance patch, really, plus some player portraits. Cool. I'm good with this. That's pretty funky. And we know the date, always handy, so we can be ready for it. I'm quite excited to see the new cards and talk about those, obviously. March the 14th, mini set early access. Now this is where I'm going to have an opinion, but we'll get there in a moment. So, March 14th, mini set early access. New mini set will be available exclusively through purchases in the in-game shop. Then on March the 20th, that's 6 days later, you'll get the full release via core card packs in the in-game shop. So you'll need to buy core packs or open your core packs, so save them up for that if that's kind of what you want to finish with the thing. Opens up the creation using wildcards. I'll get to that in a minute as well. And then the rotations land. So this is interesting, and we'll come back to that in a moment. But let's finish out the article first, and then we'll come back. So obviously spoiler season will be starting at the end of next week. And that's going to be really cool. We'll see what spoiler season looks like. I cannot tell you anything. Even if I did know anything, I wouldn't be able to tell you anything about it. But always keep your eyes open for spoiler season, because we've got 24 new cards to look forward to seeing. Right, so there's the article. Short and sweet, as they are wont to be at the moment. Whether I consider that a positive or not is a different thing, but that's the tone that we're taking, and this is fairly matter-of-fact. But I want to go back up here. I want to go back up here because, and this is where we take a drink. It's tea, by the way. It's mint tea. This is where I have views. So, patch deployment, full release, I'm kind of chill with. I get that, and it's nice that we have a release schedule. When it comes to this early access, so this is the thing where I'm going to have opinions. I'm going to talk about them, but I'm also going to talk about the other side of the point. The fact that the new mini set will be exclusively available through purchases in the in-game shop, which are going to be diamonds. They're not going to be via gold. I don't think there will be a gold option, no matter how much various players may want it. I don't think it would be logical for them to be economically for the game, because gold is free. It has no value to the developer. The fact that you're going to be able to spend real-world money to get diamonds and then exclusively pre-access for almost an entire week the new cards and still be playing against people who can't access them even with wild cards is questionable, in my opinion. I don't like it. I will be honest, I do not like it. I don't think it's as egregious as many other games have been, and I do understand the business reasons for making the mini set available for purchase, because it is a good encouragement for people to guarantee getting all the cards, and it will depend on what that price looks like. But there is a degree of pay to win here. Or at least pay for a substantial advantage for 6 days, potentially, depending on how good the new cards are and how hard they are to counter. Especially given that the reserve pool rotations won't have landed yet, while the balance patch will. It's not a choice I would have made. I would have actually liked to have seen them bundled together, with just a on release day option for you to buy, guaranteed the full set of a full playable set of the new cards. I think that would be a much more given the game is still holding competitive tournaments, I think that would for real money, I think that would be a much fairer way to do it, and I will say that openly. I do understand the reasons, because by making it earlier you give even more of that inducement to actually spend the money, but I'm not a fan. I don't think it's necessary, but I do, as I say, I can see the arguments in both sides. I'm not going to sit here in some halcyon world of where everything should be available to everyone for absolutely nothing all the time, because that's kind of ridiculous and it's not the way business works. But I'm not sold on this idea of like getting a 6-day grace period where you can be playing in theory with potentially an advantage. If this is going to define things going forward for the bigger expansions, that's also going to be a thing, because that's going to be much larger than 24 cards. It concerns me. It concerns me, and you look at it with regards to the tournament scheduling and stuff like that, I'm not super a fan, not going to lie. But at the same time, at least we now know the dates in advance, which is good. I mean, it's what, 28th? So we're knowing this like a couple of weeks in advance. We know, like 2-3 weeks in advance, we know when stuff is coming, which is good, actually. It's positive. This kind of communication I want to see more of. And I do want to focus on the fact that there is positive in this article. We're getting information ahead of time. We're seeing cool new quality of life features, which I'm positive to see. I'm excited to see what the new cards do and how everyone gets along with them. And yes, for those of you who are wondering, I do have some understanding of what the new cards are, because as many of you know, I am in internal testing, but I can't talk about that. But I am excited to see what those cards kind of finalise out at and what people think of them. I think it's going to be cool, and you'll get my opinions on them just as soon as I'm able to record them and put them out there. On the whole, I think this is mostly positive, but with one big question mark for me, and that's just the way it goes. Anyway, I'm going to hop over, we'll sum up, and then we're done, because this isn't going to be a long one. So that's the article, and that's what we've seen, and as I say, on the whole, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's funky that we've got some new quality of life stuff. I think the new portraits are going to be fun. I think more collectible stuff like that, visual collectibles, is really good to see. I'm not a fan of the 6-day advance that you can get by purchasing the new expansion via the store. I don't have a problem at all, and I'll say it again to be clear, I don't have a problem with the idea that you drop in the store so that you can just buy the new expansion for cash rather than having to use wildcards and stuff like that. I'm totally fine with that. That's just good business model, and I get it. Encourages people to spend a bit of money, especially if the pricing is reasonable. The fact that you can do it and have access when other players literally cannot access those cards, not just that there is no way for them to access them through their wildcards and stuff. The only way they can access through is spending, is a financial move. I will be interested to see how it goes and how successful sales are if we get to find that out. I would be fascinated to know how successful sales of that are and whether this is something that actually continues, because it may well be that it's not successful and 1939 just stop doing it or move it, which would be my advice. But anyway, in the end, it is 6 days. It's a week, but you can, if you're grinding hard, you can do a lot in a week. So many competitive players may very well want to pick up the new cards if they think they can build around them. But as I say, that's as may be. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. In the meantime, this is it. It's a very quick video. It's going to be under 20 minutes. I am glad to be back. This is not the last you will see of me. I will be back and doing more cards content and content other than that. Sometime in the near future I'll be uploading some content of different games and other stuff, so keep your eyes on the channel. Please, if you can, like, subscribe, follow all of that stuff. Please come follow me over on Twitch. I will be back on Twitch and you'll be able to catch me when I'm actually doing some streaming, which I'm very excited to get back to as well. I miss my community, but I've got to get to the right place to be able to be back in that. If you want to talk more about what's been going on or find out what's going on in my life, either you can wait and there might be a video, but feel free to join my Discord. We've got a really cool community there. And lastly, if you can, and especially with things being where they are at the moment in the world, if you are able to put any amount of small financial contribution towards me, you can contribute down below. I will link down below to Ko-Fi, but also link to my Patreon, which is actually at the moment branded around maps and other stuff. There will be some rebranded going on, but that is, you can be assured that is my Patreon. And if you want to support me in that and get access to some other cool tabletop stuff and gaming stuff, you can do that too. In either case, one-time donations, monthly donations, whatever you want to sign up for is very cool if you can. Don't feel pressured, of course. You know, I'm still going to be making content, but the likelihood is that I will be focusing my content more and more in different places, and if you want to see me make more content on specific things and you're supporting me financially, then obviously I'm going to have more to listen to about what you want to see. It's just the way it goes. But I'm very happy to be back. I'm looking forward to being more active in the near future. As ever, take care of yourselves, be good human beings, and I will catch you next time.